Okay. All right, good evening. This is the Board of Selectmen's meeting for Tuesday, March 31st, 2015. First item is to confirm our future meeting dates. We're scheduled to meet next Tuesday, April 7th. Also the 16th, regarding the snow situation this past winter, with some of our department heads to have a chance for the public to give us some comments. Does that night still work for everyone?
I can't make the 16th. I just found out about it today, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No, I have meet and greets.
Do you want to reschedule it to another night? We'll just have to check with the DPW director, the police chief, and Tom.
I can do the 6th. What was the alternative date?
I don't think we proposed one.
It was Thursday the 16th, right?
Yes. We're going to try to book the Council on Aging for that.
Yeah, I'm definitely out that night.
Okay, well,
The other alternative was what, the 21st, if you want?
well, the 21st, we were hoping for a regular meeting night.
It's Friday, you can't do Friday, Tom, or Wednesday, right, because it's the 15th?
Yeah, I can't do the Wednesday.
Yeah. I mean, you guys can still go ahead with it.
We could try it the following Thursday.
We could probably do
Does
that.
that work, the
Like the
23rd?
23rd?
We could probably do that.
We'll just have to check it with our DPW director.
Council on Aging. Yeah, I can do the 23rd, yeah.
Okay, let's check availability with the department heads, because we'll definitely want them there as well.
So we have a meeting on the 21st as well, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
the 21st. We also have the Conservation Commission on the 14th regarding 0 Central Avenue. We don't necessarily all have to be at that, but that's scheduled for the 14th.
Okay.
Okay, so we'll confirm then, hopefully in the next day or two, whether we'll meet on the 16th or the 23rd for the discussion with the public.
Okay.
Payroll and vendor warrants.
Move approval of current payroll and vendor warrants.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Citizen speak? I don't see anyone here tonight for citizen speak.
Katie, I actually have an item.
Oh,
Well, can I appear twice? You're meeting on the 7th?
yes, Frank, certainly come up and
Okay,
join
so-
us for citizen
well,
speak.
Here's
Thank you
the,
for saying
here's
his
the,
name now.
yeah, Frank Schroth. Frank Schroth, 39 Avalon Road. I'm also the editor of My Town Matters. And I wanted to take advantage of the opportunity to confirm that there will be a candidates forum on April 11th at 1 o'clock at Fuller Village. I produced the event, but the forum is moderated by, and the questions are developed and asked by the Milton High School debate team, and this has been our practice for the last 4 years.
Excellent format.
Excuse me?
It's an excellent format.
Well, thanks, Tom. And I think it's been fairly favorably received. Mr. Kahane will be there. And
I had to be there once.
all the
a couple years
candidates,
ago.
in fact, all the candidates will be there, I believe, with the exception of Mr. Voigt, who's out of the country. But I might take advantage of Citizen Speak again on the 7th if you're meeting then.
Yes, sure.
Okay.
Helps to get the word out.
Okay, so 1 o'clock on April 11th at Fuller Village.
Which is a Saturday afternoon.
It's a Saturday afternoon. Yep, thanks so much.
Thanks,
Thank you,
Frank.
Frank. Okay, seeing no one else for citizen speak, then the first item on our agenda is a public safety discussion with our police chief, Richard Wells. And I should have mentioned at the beginning, this is going to be an abbreviated meeting because we're hoping to get over to the Board of Appeals meeting at 7:30 tonight for the 40B hearing on the Randolph Avenue project. So Chief, if you'd like to join us, as everyone knows, we've had some public safety incidents the last couple of weeks, and the chief is here to talk with us about that.
You want to come up? No, on a half an hour ago, no. Thank you. Good evening.
Good evening, Chief.
I'm going to my second CBA in my whole life tonight. So I'll give you a brief update. Most of you know it. Both of them were highly publicized incidents, and I'll start with the first one. We're very busy. Every day we deal with dozens of calls. Sometimes they're average, sometimes they're serious, and every once in a while you get these critical, life-altering situations. And in the case of the first one, which was has been highly publicized, a house that is for sale on Craig Street, 4 Craig Street, and we took a call that day as a result of an electrical inspection that was ongoing. There was I guess there was an electrical problem in the house, and credit to the electrical inspector, and it's not the gentleman, the Globe did a story about this hero, it's not him, he wasn't even there. I don't even know, that's the company he worked for, but the gentleman that they identify is not someone who was there, and we've corrected it with them, but they didn't, we've interviewed, we have the name of the electrician. So the long and the short of it, the electrician was able to determine in a very unique way, using his cell phone, through a hole in the ceiling where there had previously been a light fixture, he discovered what he thought was an IED. That's how he described it to us. And
What's an IED?
improvised explosive device, more commonly seen in the Iraq and Afghan war, the type of device that was deployed to the marathon, those types of. This was built in a similar way, but and it was said to detonate electronically. So the long and the short of it is, the officers went there. I quote Officer Chipman, who was one of the first officers on scene, with Sergeant Murphy, who ran the incident, who did a great job, is that if you have a device and it appears to be a bomb, you call the bomb squad, which is what we did. We brought in a great deal of technical advice and technicians from the Boston Police Department, and they were very methodical. They knew very early on that this was something that was man-made, and it was actually cut through the wall and then replastered over, and they took the light wiring that had been dovetailed through a previous ceiling light, pulled it back, fed it down the wall, and wired it into a light switch. And as a result of a lot of investigation, because the one question mark that the Boston techs had was what was in the container. Their x-rays were actually showing nothing, and they said can't be. And so they wanted to work their way through all the possibilities of, the most serious dynamite, TNT, things that could be there, and they worked down that. Finally, they were fairly confident it was liquid, and it was, we believe today, it was gasoline. The wire was shaved bare, and the intention was to flip the light switch and detonate the incendiary device. So all of that has been removed. The scene was processed. The investigation at this point we've conducted with interviews with everyone who we know primarily belong, be it tenants, owners. We've moved to the forensic aspect of this right now, which is all the things that we've collected from that building. We've had a lot of conferences with other agencies. Tomorrow they're conferring with the ATF. And this is something that, and I have not divulged all the aspects of it, but had this gone off, this was definitely intended to take human life, and as to how many it would have taken is, speculation. But I want to give a lot of credit to all the officers who went there. They did a great job. It was just one of those rare instances where suddenly you're faced with a life-altering situation. But you've heard me say this in the past. I always talk about not just our own people, and I think I don't have to go too far when I talk about my pride in them, but the relationship we have with the Boston Police Department, very, very close. And they don't even blink. They came right in with all types of resources, and that's a great relationship that we've had for a long time. Commissioner Evans is a very good friend of mine, as you know from the MLK. Lieutenant Chief Gross, who lives here in town, Superintendent O'Rourke's son you hired, he's on our job now. So that partnership is something, and we're very fortunate to have that. Which goes right into the next day, which, as you know, and each of you have had a big part in this, from the SROs we've put in there, from the identification, the crafting and funding, getting the schools to buy in and fund a second SRO this year, and all the hours we've put into planning, training, staff, everything that's gone on, which was spearheaded by school chair Roy Walker since Newtown. And on Tuesday, the very next day, an individual attempted to enter Milton High School. He went to the front door. He had a roost story. He gave the name of a student who he was there to see. There was no such student. He clearly wasn't a student. He was a Watertown individual. They did the right thing. And people don't, we think about teachers and we think about the issue, but you don't think about how important the person is in the front desk. And she denied him access to the building. But he did not leave. He went out and remained in the front parking lot area of the building. He probably never in his wildest dream ever thought that being denied access to a public school would summon the police or would bring law enforcement focus on him. And he was quickly intercepted outside by school and police personnel. And within a short inquiry, they realized very quickly that, A, he was somewhat under the influence, B, he definitely did not belong there, C, his stories none of it gelled, and he was very, very nervous. And from that investigation, they determined that he was not only carrying liquor, over $3,000 in cash, a significant amount of marijuana, but he was carrying a loaded firearm. And that brings it to a completely different level. What triggered the lockdown to make it even more so was that as they ramped things up right away through all these protocols, in a lockdown, there's no place to hide. Your room, you go to where you're assigned. If you're in that building and you have no business there, you're going to stand out. And very quickly into this, they located a second individual. Unfortunately for him, he was no nexus between he and the first one, but he had gone in there on a, like, I know you, so I'll get you in. And we actually, through surveillance cameras, were able to confirm what door, how he got let in, almost simultaneously, right around the same time that the first kid came. So that just,
A coincidence.
coincidence became concern, and that brought, as we've drilled, this wasn't a shelter, but this was a full lockdown of the school. And,
So have we identified a person that let that other person in, or?
oh yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah, and he's been no trespassed from the property. He cannot come back on any school He didn't commit any crimes, but he's,
What about the person that let him in, though? They just-
I don't know how they dealt with that, I'm not sure, because that's a student, that's, well, I'm not aware of like the criminal aspects of it. I think in schools, it's kind of a more common thing than, like, I go to the school and you're my friend, and I say, meet me here, and although, as I say, in today's day and age, just because of security protocols, your chances of being successful at that are less and less all the time. So as a full lockdown, we've discussed and seen from prior incident we had there 2 years ago, it's not easy to lock down 1,100 students and search that whole facility, and that took a lot of resources. Again, in that case, it wasn't just Boston, it was Boston, Quincy, and Canton. They searched the entire school. Once they were cleared, they cleared the school, they released the kids, went back to normal. It was actually after school was over by the time so the kids actually, I've said this many times publicly, being locked down in school is it's not easy, it's not pretty, and it's not comfortable. But this whole nexus and the totality of this incident really warranted that they take a very concerned focus. As I wrote to the officers, you train as you respond, and you'll respond as you trained, and clearly in this case. And the reality was, as Anne Marie knows, I was in Chatham when it happened. I wasn't even here. And as I said to Mary was like, weren't you? I'm like, no. I said, you have to have faith in your staff. And to me as chief, if I die tomorrow, you have a great staff of people there. And the professionalism and the excellence that we get in this community policing will continue. So that's pretty much it. There was a dangerousness hearing held today on the Watertown individual in Quincy District Court. He was deemed held for he was found to be a dangerous individual. He's been ordered held for 120 days before his next review, and his case will go forward. There's no place for weapons in society. For legal weapons, and there's clearly no place for weapons in schools. And as long as I'm chief, and as long as we take this approach we're going to take, we have zero tolerance for weapons in our schools. We have to go no farther than what just happened not 2 miles from here in Dorchester to Officer John Moynihan on Friday night, in something that he's probably done 1,000 times. An individual who deployed, went to war, served in Iraq, stopped a car as he's done so many times. And I believe they're going to release the tape tomorrow, and the public will see just how quickly, how cold-blooded and how unprovoked human life can be threatened. So I think for you, is the head of government in this community, you should be happy they did a great job in both instances. And there was no threat to, the threat was minimized quickly, and we've resumed back to normal quality life, and school was back in normal operations the next day. So we will debrief it with Mary and her staff. Just Sergeant Richmond, who's been he's in Jamaica. He's not even here. He comes home, I think, tonight. So again, it goes to show you that we've adopted this philosophy, and I think of Mr. Hurley and the one we had a meeting, one of the first meetings we had in this room, on just approaches to school safety. It was a joint meeting with the school committee, and I quote you that night was talking about, you've got to start with locking your doors. That's really where it begins. But we've taken so many steps. we're like in the driver's seat as far as, and not to say something couldn't happen tomorrow, but I can tell just by, and I have no closer partner in government here than Mary Gormley, and she's been excellent, so I think I've talked
Well,
enough.
thank you to the
Great.
police department and to the school administration and the school committee for
Thank
Job well done.
all the good
Thanks.
work that they did.
And thanks to the men and women, because they're the ones who do the job. I'm just
Can
the
we ask a
voice.
question?
Sure, yes.
Chief, last year we funded antennas for the high school and the Pierce Middle School. Did they work?
Flawless, flawless.
Flawless, okay.
It's a
good.
huge difference. It's gone, you've gone from not being able to talk at all to seamless communication inside that
Can you
building.
just explain that, why the antennas were put there for the
So,
public?
in the 21st century, any building that's built out of cement block, basically, that either goes way above ground or below ground, and in the case of Milton High School, the first floor is actually below sea level, with normal radio communications, which are, if you think of the antenna on the roof of your car, so you can hear or talk on your cell phone, once you go below ground, you can't work unless you have an antenna that's upside down that goes. And so what we installed there, and the Cunningham College, were the two that needed it in Milton, the two buildings were big enough, was a bi-directional antenna, which spreads that radio communication that normally goes out of the building through the building. It's actually very common in cities like Boston, where, particularly the downtown district, where it's just a big cement bunker of everything. Just
So before they were installed, you would have had a hard time
Oh,
communicating
yeah.
with police officers
Yeah. So-
inside the building?
That's the third incident that I'm aware of where we've had to lock down Milton High School in a legit lockdown. And the two priors were prior to the bidirectional antenna being funded by this board and put in place. In both of those, we had serious communication problem, like placing people in hallways. So I would talk to you, and then you would talk to Tom, and then Tom would, to get it out to the command post. And that's all been eliminated.
And then just one more question. This turned out to be okay. I mean, nobody was hurt or injured. What if there was somebody injured or
And you go to the next
shot or
level.
whatever?
And you go to the next level.
And you've practiced all that next
All the
level of
time.
stuff, yeah?
Not only do we train for it regularly, we've interactively trained the entire school staff on how to do it. And we're used to it, it's truly an eye-opener for them. But it's changed the whole mindset, and that's what we need to do. I mean, Newtown happened Columbine happened in 1999. Newtown happened last year. There've been hundreds of school shootings and workplace violence situations since this. We have to look no farther than what a pilot just did with a German airplane in Switzerland. The mind is only limited by its own imagination, sadly, and for us in law enforcement, we have to prepare for every type of possibility, so.
You're absolutely right, that preparedness is
It's the key, it's the key, it's the absolute key.
So you don't have to think about it, it's just you
It
do
has to
it.
be instinctive, and I quote, just, I know you want to get, and I'm going to, I just quote Sergeant Murphy, who, in such a normal routine, okay, money, drugs, liquor, gun, went from here, suddenly now you're up at here. You know, it ramped up that quickly. Okay?
All right, thank you, Chief.
Thanks, Chief.
Thank you. I'll
See you downstairs.
downstairs.
Isn't it at the Council on Aging?
At the council.
Chief, it's at the Council on Aging, right?
Oh, it is?
Not
Yes.
downstairs, yes. We'll see you at the COA.
Oh, it is?
for telling, I'm glad I
I didn't know that.
I would have been sitting down there by myself.
The next item on our agenda is a public hearing for a grant of location for conduit installation on Riverside Avenue. And we're joined by Renee Banks-Clark, who's here representing Eversource at NSTAR. Good evening, Renee.
Good
Renee.
evening.
Thank you for
Good
waiting.
Hi, thank you.
Is there anyone from the public who's here for this hearing? No. Okay, seeing none, we have your application and we have a recommendation from our Department of Public Works. Does anyone have questions or comments?
Can you just describe, do you know what's happening here? I apologize, I didn't
It's a
read it.
house that they're putting addition on the top, and they previously had an overhead service going from the pole to the building, and now they want to put the service underground.
Underground, which is much better. Yeah. Okay.
So it takes about 6 feet from the pole to the property line.
Right.
Okay.
So I'll make a motion. Are you all set then?
I'm fine. Yep.
I'll make a motion to grant a location upon the petition of Boston Edison NSTAR to install approximately 6 feet of conduit at pole 129-5 at 51 Riverside Avenue, contingent upon the application, securing a right-of-way excavation permit prior to installation.
Second.
Any discussion? Anything else, Renee, that you wanted to add?
No, that's it. Thank you so much.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, unanimous. Thank you
Thanks,
very
Renee.
much, Renee. Thank you. Number 7 on our agenda is a request for an extension of the demolition agreement regarding 0 Central Avenue and 131 Elliott Street, which is the Hendry's Building. This would be the 6th Amendment, and we have a draft prepared by Town Council, which would extend the date through April 30th.
Okay, I'll move to approve a Sixth Amendment of the agreement between the Town of Milton and Carrick Realty Trust, so that the concurrent demolition of the town-owned building at 0 Central Ave and the Carrick Realty Trust building at 131 Elliott Street shall be completed by April 30th, 2015.
Second for discussion.
Any discussion?
Can you give us an update, Katie, on the Concom, or where are we with that?
Well, the Concom meeting is on April 14th, so that's the next hearing of the Conservation Commission.
Is that for both 0 Central Ave and 131 Elliott?
Yes.
Okay. And pending approval, will that grant a permit then? A demolition
We'll have to
permit?
see what happens that night. The applications are still pending before the Conservation Commission. So we'll see, we'll see where we're at that night. We're only extending it through April 30th. We may need a further extension. I'm assuming that we will.
No, I'm saying, is this the last piece of the puzzle to have a demolition permit granted?
I believe it should be.
Conservation,
Yeah.
yes.
Conservation?
Yes.
Okay.
Any further discussion? And if not, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Unanimous. Town Administrators Report.
Frank, you got to restart the clock.
I do not have a report tonight, Madam Chair. I know we have to get over to the Board of Appeals hearing.
I don't have anything to report tonight. Does anyone have a report to make?
Nope.
Nothing to report.
Anything for citizen speak response? Can be from a prior citizen speak, doesn't necessarily have to be the one comment from tonight. Future agenda items.
The pilot committee, I believe, is going to, wants to come in front of us the next meeting to
April 7th?
April 7th, I believe, but I'll confirm that with Emery during the week.
Okay.
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 Anything else? Future agenda items? Okay, then why don't we entertain a motion to recess and attend the Board of Appeals hearing on the 40B
So
project,
moved.
Randolph Avenue, and
Second.
then to adjourn from the Board of Appeals meeting.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
All right.
Aye. All right, so we're in recess, and we'll